Hello friends, this is Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful fringed scarf. I'm calling it Fabulous Fringed Scarf. Say that 5 times. Fabulous Fringed Scarf. It's hard because I get tongue twisted. I have had to start this video several times because I can't get the words out of my mouth. So anyways, this Fabulous Fringed Scarf made out of Caron Latte Cakes. In the color Red Macron. However, as I mentioned in the last video that I posted, because I crocheted a V-stitch infinity scarf that was quite a lot smaller than this, completely different. And I crocheted one and posted that, and as I mentioned in that video, I'll mention in this one. This is not red, it's like a burnt orange with two different colors of tan. There's a lighter tan and there's like a taupe kind of tan in there, hiding in there somewhere. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and make this together, and there's many ways you can wear this. You can wear it just like this, which is double wrapped. I just double wrapped it over my head. Just put it like that, then stuck my hands in here, wrapped it, and put it over my head, and then you just play with the fringes till the bottom ones are easy because you just flip them out. But then you just play with this until you get the fringes how you like it. And it's beautiful. So that's one way to wear it. Another way you can wear it is to just unwrap it, put the fringe, I'm gonna put it halfway over my shoulders. So the fringe is on the bottom, halfway over my shoulders, just like that. And it's halfway in the back. But you wear it just like, just to keep your shoulders warm. And you know what, if you're wearing a plain shirt, it's just a beautiful, it looks like a vest almost, but it's not. I mean, if you had a nice belt, you could put the belt around there and that would actually look that would look beautiful. If you have a nice belt that would jazz that up a little bit, but you can just leave it like that. If you're cold, if you're in a room and you're cold, but you don't want your neck to be overheated, just wear it like this, or just have it as your accessory statement, just like that. Another way you can wear it is just all the way to the front, just like that. Just let it hang, and that works beautiful too. And another way, one last way that I'll show you, and you can be creative with other ways if you can think of them, is that you're going to put it in half just like that, put it over your shoulders, and then you're going to cross it. Now, I don't have a beautiful brooch or a really nice antique button for that matter before I made this video, but if you have one, cross it over so that your corners are connecting so it looks like it's a V, and then put a big brooch there. That would just look so beautiful. I think that just look gorgeous. Wear it like that, or just leave it like this and put it underneath your coat for just the warmth of it all. Okay, so I'm gonna put it back on because I'm going to show you the hat that I made to go with it. I made a beanie on my Sentro 48. True confessions, it's the first beanie I made on my 48 needle machine. I have an Addi 46 needle machine, and up until this point that's all I've used for my beanies. But I did make it this time on my Sentro 48 needle machine. And you know what, 2 needles makes a huge difference. I do like how it fits. I think it fits great actually, but I will tell you at the same time that I loved how my Addi 46 hats fit too. This is just that little bit looser, which if somebody's got a little bit bigger over some circumference for their head, then I can see where the Addi 48 would be a little bit more comfortable. But either one works. You can make this set in using the Addi 46 needle for both, or the Sentro 48 for both. Either one works. And you can find the tutorial for the beanie on my channel as well. So please look that up and give it a try. All right, and so just one more mention I wanted to make. Sometimes we don't go out and buy these more expensive yarns because we're trying to be more cost effective. But this one is so luxurious and soft and beautiful. And in Canada, it's $14.99 a ball right now. But the thing is there's 530 yards on the ball. So, I mean, you can make this whole set with one ball. Well, you know what, I'm saying that very reservation because I made another scarf and a few other things, and I bought 2 balls, but I'm pretty confident you can make this whole set out of 1 ball. Because there's 530 yards on it. So it's really, when you think of it in that respect, it's very cost effective. So go out and get yourself some. I'm gonna go buy some different colors in this because this is absolutely now my absolute favorite yarn. I just think it's gorgeous. So anyways, once you have your supplies ready, and if you don't have this yarn and you're using any 4-weight yarn or your favorite yarn, you can follow along in this tutorial too, and you'll get a beautiful project out of it as well. So thanks for joining me. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. I would appreciate that very, very much. Thank you to all of you friends who have done that already. It's overwhelming to me how fast my channel is growing. So thank you so much. I appreciate that very much. Okay, so again, here's the beanie. Loving it. And go get your supplies. And once you do, let's get started. Okay, so let's get started on this beautiful infinity scarf, okay? So what we're gonna do first, we have to use waste yarn on this project. So we're going to rotate our handle till our last white needle and our first black needle come in line with our yarn guide there. And we're going to, and I mark mine with the red divider between those two with a permanent black marker, so I always see when it's coming around. We're gonna take a contrasting color from the yarn that we're using, from our working yarn. We're gonna go behind that first black needle, in front of the second, behind, in front, behind and in front, all the way around. Till we get to the last white needle, and your yarn should be behind that last white needle and into the yarn guide, close the latch, and then you're gonna crank out as many rows as you're comfortable with for waste yarn, but I would suggest that you do 7 or 8 rows. That's what I always do. I find that's just the perfect amount. Just because if it ever starts to unravel, it generally doesn't make it to the 7 rows. So that's my habit of number of rows that I do, okay? So you go ahead and do that. I've kind of lost count on here because I'm holding this, I'm unraveling a piece, like an old project for waste yarn as I'm doing this, so it's almost done, okay? So I don't know how many rows I've got, but probably close to 7, okay? So I'm gonna do one more after this, and I'm going to change my row counter to 0. I always do that halfway through my last row of waste yarn, so then I'm ready to begin, and the machine is ready to begin counting when I change to my working yarn. So there we go. We're going to cut off our waste yarn, get that out of the way. End out of the way. We're going to open our yarn guide. We're going to take that waste yarn, put it between the last white and the first black needle, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and grab our working yarn. Okay, grab the end of your working yarn. You're going to put that into your yarn guide, into the middle between the last white and the first black needle. And then I always pinch the 2 ends that are in there, and I go for 4 needles, 3 or 4 needles. And then I take both ends of my working yarn and I pull it taut just a little bit, and then I make sure that that one goes underneath, just like that. That way, and then give this one little knot just so it stays in place. And that's just so that my first few stitches on my row are even tension to the rest of the row as well. So that's another little trick that I do, and it seems to work well for me, okay? So now we're going to just begin cranking, okay? So that was row 1. My row counter clicked onto row 2 as it passed that black needle. So now I know I'm working on row 2. This yarn works like a dream in this machine. Like seriously, it's just so beautiful. And I'm gonna just keep cranking like this with an even tension. I don't use a tensioner. I hold, other than my hands, I hold it in my hands just like this, and it comes through my fingers, and that way I can feel if there's a knot. I can feel if I'm at the end of my yarn and I didn't realize it. I can just feel what's happening with my hands. I prefer that to any kind of tensioner that I can have on my machine, and then I can control it, and it'll be the same all the way through. So for this one, I'm just letting it slip through my fingers. There's barely any tension on there, just enough for me to feel the yarn passing through my fingers and to control it as it goes through the yarn feeder, okay? So we're gonna keep going until we get to 275 rows. Yep, 275, and if you're using yarn that is a dream in your machine, that won't take very long. If you're using yarn that's giving you some hassles, then good luck along the way, because it takes a little bit of patience, but that's okay. We always know the end product will be beautiful. So keep going, and I will get back with you when I'm between 50 and 60 rows, just to show you what I do with it when it starts to reach the table, okay? So keep going till you get to, till your project starts to touch the table, and then come back and see what I do with that, okay? All right, we'll see you soon. Have fun. Okay, I'm just clicking on row 57, and you can see that my project is starting to touch the bottom, is starting to touch the table there. So it's important that when it gets to that point that you put some tension on it, and the way to do that is to roll it in a donut, because if you keep it going and just let it bunch up, then this bunches up like this, and you're going to risk dropping a stitch by having this stitch come off the little red teeth there. So and also, if you want to keep your tension evenly, even around your barrel on every row, you want to make sure your tension is even, not just coming off of your hand, but coming from your project as it goes into the barrel. You want to roll it up just like this. This one is so soft that it's actually hard to roll. It's just I can't say enough about this yarn. I just love it so much. I'm going to go out and get a couple more colors. So this is the first, well, it's not the first time, it's the second time I've used this yarn in this color, but I'm going to go out and get a few other colors because I just think it's just so beautiful. It's going to make beautiful gifts. Okay, so you roll it up, and then that keeps your tension even around your barrel, just like that as you keep going. And as it gets longer, maybe halfway down, you don't have to wait till it reaches the table now to keep rolling it. When it gets halfway down, just keep rolling. And just roll it as you can until you get to 275 rows. And once we get to 275 rows, we're going to come back together and we're going to cast off with waste yarn, okay? All right, so have fun, keep going, and we'll see you when you get to row 275. I'm at the end of 275 rows, and yay, there was not one tucked stitch. I love this yarn so much, I can't even tell you. It's just the best yarn. It just glides through your machine. It makes making a project so much fun. So if you haven't tried this yarn, go out and get some because, man, is it ever nice. Okay, so I'm going to cut off my end, put it in the middle between my last white and my first black needle. Then I'm going to take my waste yarn and I'm going to insert in my yarn feeder in between the first white, or pardon me, the last white and the first black. I'm going to hold both of those. I'm going to just tie one little slip knot there so that holds that in place. And you see my nice donut here. That I was rolling it as I went, and it gives it nice nice weight, so it keeps my tension even around my barrel. Okay, so now I'm going to just do about 7 rows of waste yarn. Get my ball on the ground here so I can maneuver it a little bit better. And then we'll take our project off. Again, we're using waste yarn because we want to close our ends and make a flat seam, not a gathered seam. Okay, I'm going to do one more after this, and then I'm going to snip that off, open my yarn feeder, put that in between my last white and my first black needle, close this because if you don't close it, it catches a needle, you might break one or the other. So we're going to crank our handle, and on the second time around, it starts to come off, and I just grab it like this and help it. Sometimes it gets stuck on the needle, so I find if I do this, then it's less likely, except for the last needle always gets stuck on that. Okay, so there you go. You've got your project off the machine. We're going to unroll it and stretch it out widthwise and lengthwise, just with just soft tension, not a lot of tension. You just want to, you know, get it all these stitches to line up and get in order. So when I take it off, I'm just going to stretch it out really, really simply, really easily, right down the whole length of it and widthwise. Okay, so I'll see you back when we're done that. All right, so now that we have taken it off the machine and we have stretched it gently in both directions, all the way down and all the way across, and that just lines up our stitches and softens them. You could do it after you're done your project too, it doesn't matter, but I just make it a habit to do it as soon as I take it off my machine. Now we're gonna grab both ends. We'll start with this end, whichever end you grab first, and whatever stitch that waste yarn is coming out of, you're going to put a stitch marker in that stitch, okay? Just like so. And then off to the left of it, you're going to grab your working yarn. And that working yarn trails off of this stitch. So it comes, this loop here comes down and underneath this stitch, and this is our last stitch that we did here. So this is the one that we're going to mark. So to the left of this one, you'll see 2 stitches, one on top of the other. Choose the top one, put your stitch marker in there. Take your 2 ends and put them out on the outside of your work so we don't work them inside and then have to dig for them later. Okay, go ahead and do that on the other side. Now, I always then start sewing up from this end to this end, but because we're joining these two, I'm going to flip this. It makes it easier. So I want my stitch markers to be on the other side. So I'm going to just flip that right like that, okay? And we're going to seam, when you're holding it like this, take the bottom side, let me move that up. This bottom side, when they're sitting exactly like that, take the bottom side here, and we're going to work it up on the top side of that other one so that we can go around in a circle, okay? So again, you've got your opening here. You're going to use this top section first and the bottom section when it's laying on top. What you want to make sure though is make sure that that your scarf isn't twisted, so make sure it's completely flat. I didn't do that, so I'm going to do that now. It's completely flat so that so that works up beautifully and you get a better finished product, okay? So we've got that all straight going down that way. And now we're going to take a look at this top piece here and the bottom piece of this one, okay? So let's grab both of those. You're going to, this is why I do 7 rows of waste yarn, not less, because it starts to unravel when you play with it, and then, you know, you risk it coming undone, and I don't want that. So I'm going to take these 2 yarn ends and I'm going to put them between my bobby pins as well, my stitch markers. Okay, so I've got my bottom half and my top part. Okay, I'm going to put my crochet hook through the loop where this first bobby pin is, okay, and go underneath that stitch. Then I'm going to go up to this, where is my, it's caught on my project, to this one that's on the very top there too, and I'm going to go under that stitch and I'm going to pull it through the loop on my hook. Okay, now because I did this top one here, I'm going to go to this bottom one. I'm going to grab the next one. I'm going to go put it on my hook and grab it, put it through the loop, then to the next one on the hook, through the loop, go down to this bottom panel, through the loop, and through the loop on my hook. Doesn't matter if you grab this loop that's on your project from underneath or on top. I grab it usually on top. I just find it easier, but it makes the stitch the same way. It doesn't matter in this particular instance, okay? When you're closing panels like this. So we're going to keep going back and forth, just like so. Until we get all the way around. I hope that the sunshine that's coming through my window is not putting a glare on this project. I tried my best to make sure it wasn't, but the sun is changing depending on the clouds all the time. So if you aren't seeing it properly at one point, just keep watching, and I'm sure it'll clear up at another point. All right, so we're going around and we're getting this beauty closed. Just like we would close a flat panel with 1 piece, but we're doing it with 2 pieces. Okay? And I'm going to keep going around like that till I get to the end and run out of stitches. Okay? So you keep going, and I'll see you when you get to the end. I'm coming up near the end of my project, and I'm going to, I took out the first 2 bobby pins because then it just makes it easier to work the end here without fidgeting around bobby pins. So just the ones that I still needed in there, I've kept in. And now, oops, it's the first time I've lost one on this whole circle, so there we go. So now I'm coming to this end. I'm going to lift up on this bobby pin, and I'm going to, oops, you got to be very careful because again, it's attached to the last row of your working yarn. Or to the last, to this tail here. So if your tail is short, you don't want to pull on it so far that it comes apart, okay? So be careful with that. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. Pull out that bobby pin. Finish off that stitch. And then I'm going to take both of these just in my hand like that, and I'm going to wrap around and put them through those stitches that's on there. just like that, okay? Now, closing your tube this way gives you a tube, like the whole end of this scarf is a tube. We could have closed each end individually and then just stitch them together, and that works too. It's just that then you have a closed end and the rest is a tube, and it's just another way of doing it. That way works beautifully too, and if that's how you choose to do it, then you go ahead and do that and it'll be gorgeous. So now we're going to pull out our waste yarn, which can be a little tricky because you got to go around and around and around. Okay, so this was the easy end. There's always a hard end and an easy end. The other end, I'm going to have to loosen the first row before I can unravel it like this, okay? So you're going to go ahead and just keep unraveling that. I'm going to show you this other end. You're going to roll up the rim on it, and you're going to, about 3 or 4 stitches down, you're going to pinch where it's in a stitch there, and then you're going to pull that end. Oh, I grabbed it wrong. See, I grabbed the wrong side because I had it on the wrong end. Okay, so you're going to do it the other side. So whichever side works. It might be a little tricky. There we go. Because I had twisted it turned it to the other side. That's why I had it backwards, okay? And so I'll just do it backwards here. So then I'm going to pinch that next stitch, and then I'm going to pull that through. Then I'm going to roll up the rim again. Roll up the rim. Man, I wish I had a Timmy's coffee. Then I'm going to pinch, and I'm going to pull. And I'm going to do the same thing all the way around until I can get that first row loosened, and then it'll unravel just like the other side did, so with no problem. Okay, so go ahead and finish that. Remove your waste yarn, and I'll see you back. Okay, great job, everyone. Now that you've got that finished, you should have a seam that looks something like that. So a little bit different from the rest of the scarf, but so hardly noticeable. And it's just a professional finished edge, so even if it is noticeable, that's fine. So I'm going to thread this one piece just through one of the stitches that's beside, because they were both coming out the same stitch. I'm going to reinforce that with a knot. I'm going to then thread them both onto my needle and hide that end. I just go in and out of a few of these stitches just because I want it to be secure. I don't want it to just come back out, okay? And then from there, I'll just go down and in between the 2 layers. Okay, once that's hidden, I'll give it a little snip. And we have finished this part of our scarf. So, wow, like, I just love this color so much. They're so beautiful. Perfect for this time of the year, this fall season that we're in. We're going to now go ahead and add a small fringe to it. And if you're not sure how to make a fringe, then just look for my video on how to do that. It's a simple technique, and all you got to have is a piece of cardboard, a 4-inch piece of cardboard for this particular project, okay? And then follow the instructions on the video. But we're going to just do a fringe on every second stitch down one side. Either that side or this side, doesn't matter. They're both exactly the same. There is no right or wrong on this side on this project. It's a tube, and you've grafted it together in such a way that both sides are right. So we're going to take our fringes that you have cut, okay? And you're going to take one of them and you're going to put it in half. Now, some of them might be just a smidgen longer than the other. They should all be almost exactly the same because you use the 4-inch piece of cardboard. But if one is just a little bit longer, don't worry about that. The only 2 pieces that you have to throw away are the end pieces because they're often a different length. But you'll find those easily. But you're going to take your fringe, you're going to put it in half, just like I did here. You're going to stick your finger in that little loop that's at the top. Put your hook through a stitch. Okay, so I'm going to start beside my seam here. You can start anywhere around the circle, but I'm just going to start beside my seam here. And I'm going to then grab that loop with my crochet hook, bring it through, pull it just so I can get my fingers underneath that, between that loop. Then I'm going to grab those 2 yarn ends and I'm going to pull it through, okay? Now, the only thing I'm going to tell you to do is when you are adding your fringes, you always add them from, if you're starting on this side, maybe put a marker of some sort Let me grab my favorite markers and put a marker on the side that you're starting with in case you leave your project and then come back later. You always want to insert your hook from the side that the bobby pin is showing. Okay, so you're gonna skip a stitch. So I'm gonna skip that stitch and I'm gonna go to the next one, put my hook through. I'm gonna take my fringe, I'm gonna put it in half, grab my loop with my crochet hook, bring it through that stitch, put my fingers between that little circle, grab my ends, pull them through, and pull it tight, okay? Now, the reason why I say you got to do the bobby pin is because there is a right and wrong side to this fringe. Now, with my material, or with this flecky stuff, you can't really see it, so it really doesn't matter. And when you have it on and it's twisted, you're not going to actually see it either around your neck once you start wrapping it. It doesn't really matter, but if you want to do your project properly and have it done correctly all the way, when you put your fringe on, you have a bar that goes over top. Now, if you're doing a blanket or something where you easily see this when there's no flex here, you want to make sure that bar over your fringe is on the same side all the way down, because there's a wrong side to this fringe, and that's this side here. So whatever side you're poking your crochet hook in, that's the wrong side. Okay, so again, you just want to keep that uniform. I'm big on making sure that it's done correctly and uniform all the way down. So every time I come back to this project to do it, I'm going to go every second stitch, and I'm going to put my hook in on the side where my marker is. So I'm going to miss that one. I'm going to go into this next one. And I'm going to do that all the way down until I get the full circle around, okay? And I'm only doing fringe on this one side. I'm not doing it on the other side. I only need it on one side, okay? So go ahead and do that until you've got your circle completed, and then we'll see you when you're done. Okay, so we made it around. We've got our fringe on, and you know, I didn't trim any of these fringes to make them the same length because like if you did them like I did them in the video, they are almost the same length. There's some variations just depending. Maybe you would have done a double layer, and so that top layer is just like a tidbit longer, which you can't even tell. But I like that look. I don't like a straight flat cut across your fringe. So if you're like me, just however you put it on, just leave it. And if it varies a little bit in length, as long as it's not too much, like if this one would have been down to here, I would have trimmed it. But I'm not trimming anything on this particular scarf. It's just beautiful. I just absolutely love it. So thanks for joining me in this tutorial. If you would like to make the matching beanie that goes with it, I made the beanie on my Sentro 48 needle machine, but I have a video on my channel making it on my Addi 46 needle machine. And I've made so many beanies on my 46 needle machine that fit a wide range of like almost everybody actually. They might be a little bit tight on some really big heads at first, but they loosen as you wear them just a few times. So the Addi 46 is definitely big enough to make adult beanies on, and I can I can speak for it because I've sold many. Also, but I just got my Sentro 48 needle machine, so I'm going to start making some beanies on that one as well. And the hat that I made to go with this was made on my 48 needle machine. So enjoy. So whichever machine you choose, it'll be perfect. So thanks again for watching this video. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for taking interest in my channel. And if you haven't subscribed already, I sure would appreciate it if you would do that. That would be just amazing. If you have little kids who like to listen to Storytime, I have another channel called Storytime with Nana. And I will link, I've got about 150 or more stories on that channel, and I add to it regularly as well. So make sure if you are part of that channel that you surf down to don't just read the books that come up on your news feed recently. Go search through the videos because there's some really great stories for kids that are further down the list there as well too. So I'll put that link in my description box here. So thank you so much for joining me. It sure was nice spending this time with you. I hope you enjoyed making this scarf, and happy knitting, my friends. Take care.